Hey, ladies. So I came across this article in Business Insider, wanted to share it with you. It is about a Navy officer who has built a $1 million real estate portfolio with $14,000. And she talks a little bit in this article about how she's done it. Steady and just starting somewhere wins the race. And that is true, ladies. She is an active duty Navy officer who took an interest in real estate after renting out additional bedrooms in her primary home. Before purchasing her first property, Snyder had been living in military based housing and she wanted her own space. So she began looking for her very first home while saving up for a down payment. She was able to use her VA loan, which is Veterans Affairs, for her first purchase, which required no money down. Ladies, there are other no money down programs outside of the military. You all know I'm always telling you about NACA. You put in NACA housing, NACA housing, and you should be able to find it. But definitely talk with a mortgage broker about all sorts of different programs that are out there for first time buyers. Okay. But let's continue reading. This loan landed her a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house for $268,000 in Lemoore, California. Her new monthly mortgage payment would be $1,600 plus utilities, which were about $150 to $200 a month. She then decided to rent out 3 of the bedrooms to her coworkers for $500 each. So homegirl was basically house hacking. That left her with a living expense of $100 for her mortgage plus utilities. So how did they get that? Her mortgage payment was $1,600. She rented out 3 of her bedrooms for $500 each, or $1,500. That's $100 left for the mortgage, plus she had to pay the utilities. Her renters could have kicked in for some of the utilities as well, but let's continue going. It says here, a year later, she went off on deployment and rented out the whole property to one tenant for $1,750. Today, Zillow estimates that that same house is worth $365,000. So she bought it for $268,000, and Zillow today is estimating the same house is worth $365,000. So she basically approximately has a bump of $100,000 in equity. Let's continue. She returned from her deployment and she wanted to learn more about real estate investing. So she began listening to Bigger Pockets podcast. Bigger Pockets, y'all, is like the #1 podcast for real estate investing. So I cannot recommend it enough that if you want to learn about real estate investing, definitely consider listening to Bigger Pockets. She also went to a lot of the real estate talks on Clubhouse. So she did say in here that the flood of information from different investors only left her more confused. I can definitely understand that. Here's my suggestion to you. There are a lot of ways to make money with real estate. I suggest the first thing that you do is figure out your own personality and what you're looking for within real estate. Some people want to make cash. You want to make money, cash, like fast. Well, I'll put fast in quotes. If you're looking to do something like that, you are looking to either be a wholesaler or a bird dogger, and look up those terms, okay? You do need to figure out if wholesaling is legal where you live, because in some places it's not legal. So definitely do your own research. So some people are looking for cash. They want to make another income. Other people are looking for cash flow. If you're looking for cash flow, you want to think about being a landlord, even though I'm going to show you some numbers when we get to the end of this article where being a landlord sometimes is not the best for cash flow, but we'll put cash flow, we'll put landlord in that asset class. You could also buy into REITs. Those are real estate investment trusts. A lot of them have dividends. I think all of them have dividends, but you definitely want to talk with your financial advisor about that. REITs are purchased on the stock exchange. If you want cash flow, you can also join syndications. A lot of syndications buy big multi-family properties, multi-family apartment buildings. So there are people that will get together and buy 75 units, 100 units, 200 unit, 300 unit big apartment buildings. Those are big syndicates. And oftentimes you can get and will get a dividend check every month or every quarter from these syndications. Do your research before you give anybody money. Vet the people, vet the real estate deal, talk to a professional or several professionals. But if you want to make money through cash flow within real estate, then you are able to, do one of those things that I suggested. Another way to make cash, but it's not fast cash, you do have to have money to get into this, is something called fix and flip. So what is fix and flip? It's when you buy an ugly house that can need anywhere from just a coat of paint and some carpet all the way to a full gut. They call it gutting it out, like basically, remove everything, have it in the studs, and then rebuild it out. They call that a fix and flip. People make anywhere from 30,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars doing fix and flip. You do have to have money to get into that game, and you have to know what you're doing because you will be dealing with contractors. But you can make a lot of money. That is a way for you to get income, or you can fix things up and then rent them out as well. I know people who do that. So you're able to, if you fix things up and you rent them out, you're able to get the appreciation on that property. So also sometimes people just buy things that are new, ready to go, and rent it out, and then hopefully get the appreciation. If it appreciates 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 over a 10, 20-year period, they're super happy. So I wanted to kind of share that with you because there is a flood of information. And the first thing you have to do is figure out, what am I looking for now? And then over time, what you're looking for is going to change. So you go into different real estate assets depending on what you're looking for. Okay, let's continue with the article. So this is about Anna Snyder. So she was really confused about what she should do, so she ended up getting her real estate license. A year later, she came across a piece of land in Bremerton, Washington, that checked off all of her boxes. It was a piece of land that had 2 houses on it for $299,000. The main house was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, single-family unit that sat in the front along the main road. The back house was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit. Both houses still needed some rehabbing, which she liked. The reason that she liked the fact that it needed rehabbing is because oftentimes once you rehab the property, the value of it goes up more than what the rehabbing costs are. So she says here she had to secure a conventional loan. She got a 3% interest rate, 3% down. So she had a down payment of about $9,000. Her overall monthly mortgage would be $1,647. Okay. The subcontractor who did the work on her house, he did it pro bono, which is interesting. So Snyder only had to pay for the material. In exchange, when he was done, he would rent the main house for $1,400. This left her with a monthly payment of $200 to cover the mortgage, because again, remember, her mortgage is $1,647 and she was getting $1,400 in rent. So that's why she needed about $200 to cover the mortgage. In May 2022, she purchased her 3rd property. It was a single-family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that had been recently renovated. This property also sat on a large lot, which would allow her to build an additional house in the future. So you often hear Ericka Williams, if you listen to Ericka's channel, she'll talk about buying land and putting a couple of trailers on it. A lot of people are starting to do that because housing is really becoming unaffordable. So this is what Anna may be looking at doing. Okay, so she says here the purchase price was 429K. Snyder turned to the remainder of her VA loan, which covered the amount, most of the amount that she needed, except for $11,700. She would need to pay for that out of pocket. However, she had her broker's license, which enabled her to represent herself as the buyer's agent on the property. So that gave her a commission of $7,000, which meant that she only had out-of-pocket expenses of $4,700. Her mortgage was $2,300, and Snyder rented out one of the rooms for $1,350. So girl is still house hacking here, right? Altogether, the three properties Snyder now owns adds up to a value of $1.1 million, according to his estimate. The total cash she paid upfront on all three properties was $14,000. Now, I want to show you something. I want to show you how we read between the lines with this, because in reading this initially, as I was reading through it, I was like, oh, when I read the headline, I'm like, oh, this is a great story. And then I read through it and I'm like, wait a second, let's do the math here. So house number one, her rent is $1,750, her mortgage is $1,650, considering that she kept her rent stable, because rents have gone up for everybody. Let's say she kept her rent stable. That means she's cash flowing a positive $100. House number two, her rent is approximately $1,900. Her mortgage is $1,647, which means she should have a positive cash flow of about $253. House number three, her rent is $1,350 and she lives there too. Her mortgage is $2,300, so she has a negative cash flow of $950. Here's the other thing with this scenario. This does not account for taxes, most likely. The mortgages that they listed was probably just the mortgage. Doesn't account for taxes, doesn't account for insurance. It darn sure doesn't account for if anything happens in any of these properties, she's responsible for, if the water heater breaks or anything like that. So while this was a great story, and I'm not trying to tell you not to be a landlord, not to buy properties, what I'm trying to tell you is people sugarcoat how much money and how much cash flow you make from rentals. And part of the reason why Black people lose their rentals so much is not because the mortgage isn't covered, it's because they can't cover if the roof leaks or if the water heater goes out or something like that. Well, she's a naval officer, so hopefully she should have enough money coming in to cover that. My suggestion to you is, if you don't have the money to cover any kind of a repair reserve, then I would suggest you start off with the part of real estate where you are earning cash and getting more income in. So that way, when you start buying houses and building a portfolio like this, you have a reserve. Now, what this doesn't do with the math is talk about how much appreciation she has today in these houses and how much she'll have over the next 10, 20, 30 years. I'm sure over time, this is going to do really well, but I didn't want to alert you to about that as well. So that way you are not starry-eyed when you're seeing these articles. Okay, that's it for me. I will see you ladies on the next video. Ladies, do you own a small business? Want to get grants for business loans, credit cards, or other types of funding? Then click my link in the description to get all the information.